Welcome to Mountain Biking for the Heart. Today, I'm going to do a little update to my previous review of these AliExpress brakes, the IIIPRO E4 brakes. This is just going to be an update. I'm going to cover some stuff that I've seen over a long period of time with these brakes. I've been riding them for about 9 months now. And if you want to watch the original review, I'm going to link it up here. You can click on that and watch the original review. It'll also be linked at the end of this video. After the intro, we're going to get right into it and see you after the intro. Let's go. As I was saying before the intro, I've been riding these brakes about 9 months now. If you ride them for a really long time, you start to see the downfalls in every brake and the positive points, I guess. I'm going to go over what I've tested with these brakes, how they've performed over the 9 months, and who I would say these brakes are actually for. These are the IIIPRO E4 brakes, but you can find them under a bunch of different names on AliExpress. There's a bunch of different price points. Some are a little bit cheaper, some a little more expensive. I chose the E4 because I found them in this cool purple color, and yeah, I just wanted to test them out. One of my biggest problems with these brakes right off the bat was way too much lever throw. You could pull them really far back, and they didn't really have the power. If I had the levers adjusted for my nice little hands here, there wasn't enough throw to get as much power as I needed. They would hit the bars. Hope and some other brands have the little trick where I'll show it to you here, you pump the brakes up with no rotor in there and let the brake pads collapse. So you push the brake pads till they're almost touching. Then you take a brake spreader, here this one I'm using is 2 millimeters, and you jam it on in there nice and tight, and you slowly separate the pads till you can get your rotor up in there. And you want it to be pretty much a Magura tight. If anybody's ever run Maguras, you're gonna push them brake pads back slightly and have just a tiny little gap to your brake rotor. Once you accomplish this, you throw your wheel back on and you'll test it as you see here. Beforehand, I had lots of throw. I was pulling all the way to the lever with these brake rotors. Afterwards, I had a nice bite point and still had plenty of distance to the lever, so I'd have a lot more power. Once you do this method, you're going to want to top off that oil again up inside the cylinder, up inside the lever. That way, as the brake pads wear and push farther in, you still have enough oil, because it could happen that you run out of oil. And then you're going to have some air in your brakes. You're not going to be going down descent and, oh, I got no more brakes. Yeah, that could happen. So top off that oil and you should be good. Even after doing this method, I still found the brakes didn't have the power that I actually wanted. I wanted a little more power. So I figured I'd try out some other brake pads. The Hope M4 brake pads fit in these brakes. Slap them right in there. Of course, they don't have cooling fins on them, but hey, I picked them up from Gaffer. I picked up first a set of red pads and tried those out, and they still didn't have as much power on the front wheel as I wanted, so then I picked up a set of green and threw them in the front. With the green up front and the red out back, the power was great. A lot more power than they originally had with the normal pads that come with them. This did bring up another problem though: heat. These brakes do not like heat. There isn't a lot of oil volume in these brake calipers. And because they don't have much oil volume, they tend to boil really fast. Once the brake fluid starts boiling, you're going to get a very soft brake lever. This brings me on to my next point: rotor size. In my comments, a lot of people bash me. They're like, oh, your rotors look small. Yeah, they're 180 mil rotors. I run these 180 mil rotors is what I run on all of my trail bikes. I don't find it fair to run a larger rotor to test a brake than what I run normally or with all my other brakes. So I run the 180 mil rotor. You could get around the heat problem and have more power by going to a 200, 203, or 220 mil rotor. Yes, that wouldn't be an issue. You actually minimize the heat problems, and the power problems would go away a little bit. But I'm not going to run that big of a rotor on just these brakes and then compare them to all my other brakes that I run a 180 mil rotor. That isn't right. But yes, you can upgrade or size your rotors, and you'll have more power, and larger rotors dissipate heat better. So maybe they will not overheat as much. Another thing I didn't really like about these brakes is the goofy clamp. We've seen the goofy clamp system. It's like the SRAM system, but it doesn't have a hinge in it. I don't really like that system. I don't like the SRAM system either. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it does work. With this system, just like SRAM, I picked up a set of SRAM Matchmaker X clamps, and they work great. The SRAM Matchmaker X fits, throw them on there, and you can have Matchmaker on your bike. Really cool that they actually work with it. So we know what the issues are with these brakes, and we know how we can get more power, larger rotors, different pads, but who are these brakes actually for? I'm not going to tell you these brakes are for an advanced rider, and at this price point, I'm guessing most advanced riders, they're not going to pick up this brake anyways. They're going to go with a more reputable brand. For somebody that's a beginner, or somebody trying to just build a cheap bike to bash around in the winter or bumble around in the woods on, who isn't doing huge descents, these brakes are great for that. Nice, really low price point. The quality of the machining is amazing. For the price that they sell these for, amazing. Let's just recap. Who are these brakes for? I would say they're for beginners or people trying to build a second cheap bike, winter bike, or something like that. We showed you how to get more power. I told you what the problems are, the heat problems, and for some people, power problems. Other than that, I got nothing else to say. Yeah. Never stop shredding. Come back and see me again. Dave out. Whoa, we almost forgot. We got to announce the winner of these brakes because I'm giving them away. The winner is, well, it's on my screen here. Man, I'm going to butcher that name. So Torres Dimopoulos? Dimopoulos? Sorry if I butchered your name. But yeah, Soros, you won the brakes from Lavidia, Greece. So I'll get these things sent out to you. You wait for an email. You'll be getting an email, a reply from me asking for your address, and I'll get them sent out this week. Yeah, congratulations. Enjoy them.